When we look back at 2025, the real story of AI wasn't really in the day-to-day headlines. It was actually this powerful 3-act story. It all kicked off with a wild, chaotic gold rush, but then it shifted to something quieter, the start of real-world value. And it all wrapped up by building this incredible new technological foundation that's, well, going to define everything for the next decade.
So, here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll dive into that crazy AI gold rush. Then, we'll track that critical shift from just hype to actual, tangible value. And finally, we'll look at the new foundation, the tech that made it all possible.
All right, Act 1. This is where things get wild. We're talking about a torrent of cash, insane competition, and just utter market chaos. It was a gold rush, for sure, and it got started with a huge market shock right at the beginning of the year.
So what kicked it all off? A model called DeepSeek R1 coming out of China. It was incredibly efficient, and its release just sent this shockwave through the markets. Nvidia had its biggest single-day stock loss in history. And that moment, well, it signaled that the AI race was officially global and way bigger than anyone thought.
And that pressure just opened the floodgates for investment into infrastructure. We are talking about staggering amounts of money being thrown at this problem, from massive national projects like Stargate, all the way to huge corporate expansions trying to get their hands on millions of GPUs. Everyone wanted a piece.
But it wasn't just about the chips, right? The real war was for the brains behind them. The fight for top talent just went nuclear. Top researchers were getting offers in the 9 figures. I mean, that's pro-athlete money. It was unbelievable.
So, all of this frantic spending, this investment mania, it led everyone to ask the one big question of the year. Was this real? Was this the start of a new economy, or was it all just a giant speculative bubble about to burst?
And this right here, this is the core of that bubble debate. You see this weird circular flow of money. Companies were investing in each other while also buying services from each other. Critics looked at this and screamed, "House of Cards." But the believers? They saw it as the framework for a whole new way of doing business.
Okay, so while all that market drama was grabbing the headlines, something much, much more important was happening behind the scenes. This was the quiet shift away from just hype and towards real, tangible value, as AI started to actually work in the real world.
There was this one report going around that basically claimed almost all AI projects were failing. But the real data? It told a completely different story. A staggering 82% of companies using AI were already seeing a positive return on their investment. So, behind the scenes, it was absolutely delivering.
And maybe the clearest example of this real value came from this thing that people started calling vibe coding. It was this whole new kind of intuitive way of building software, and it was completely powered by AI.
And the numbers here just don't lie. Look at this. Coding wasn't just another use case for AI, it became the killer app, period. It accounted for over half of all departmental spending on AI, just dwarfing everything else. It proved its worth everywhere.
Now, this explosion of value, especially in coding, it didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was all built on top of some huge technological breakthroughs. And that brings us to Act 3, building a whole new foundation for AI.
The biggest change was this massive shift toward what we call reasoning models. I mean, at the start of the year, they were barely used at all, less than 1% of the time. But by the end of the year, they were the default for most tasks, making up over half of all usage. That fundamentally changed what AI could actually do.
Okay, so you've got all these powerful new models, but how do you get them to work together? You need a common language, right? Kind of like plumbing for AI. And that's exactly where agent infrastructure came in. It's the set of rules that let all these different AIs talk to each other and connect to the real world.
And here's the crazy part. In a move you almost never see in tech, all the big players actually agreed on a standard. Instead of fighting for years over whose system was better, a standards war, they just cooperated. And that decision sped up progress for literally everyone. And all that foundational work paid off in a huge way. The models that dropped at the end of the year just blew everyone away. They completely put an end to any talk about AI hitting a wall. Gemini 3, Opus 4.5, GPT 5.2, these models gave us capabilities that we couldn't have even imagined just 12 months earlier.
So when you put it all together, the story of 2025 becomes really clear. That chaotic investment spree at the beginning, it fueled the discovery of real, powerful value. And that value was built on top of a brand new, solid technological foundation. Simply put, 2025 was the year AI finally moved from just a promise to actual production.